Hello, I'm Jim Roberts. I'm host of Senior Living in Alexandria. Once again, our monthly program that we bring to you for senior services in Alexandria is an information service for not just seniors, but caregivers, service providers, those who care about seniors, family and friends in particular. We have an interesting panel for you today. We have two individuals that are here. We have Vanessa Bishop, who is the founder and CEO of a longstanding firm that works with seniors, elder care consultants, and she's here. And she has brought with her Ronnie Arden, who is a family member of one of her case that she's worked on. And so what we hope to do are two things today. One is that we'd like to hear from Vanessa a little bit about her company, its services to seniors, and what she does by way of background. But also, we want to hear from Ronnie and from Vanessa in terms of the particulars of Ronnie's family member that was served very well by elder care consultants. So welcome you both. Glad to have you here, and looking forward to some useful information. Why don't we start? Vanessa, tell us a little bit about yourself and elder care consultants. Who are you? How long have you been around? What are your services?
So I am a licensed clinical social worker and certified care manager, and in 2001 I founded Elder Care Consultants, which is comprised of aging life care professionals, a health and human service specialist or specialists within my organization, such as social workers and registered nurses, that specialize and focus on working with the elderly and or disabled individual.
Mm-hmm. What's the range of services that you provide?
It's
whatever you need.
Yeah, it's such a broad span of services, but it starts with conducting an assessment of that individual, that adult. It's interfacing with the disciplines, informal and formal support networks, medical team members, but in particular with the individual and their family members.
Okay. And then you tailor it to each individual case after an assessment.
Absolutely. We compose what we call a plan of care or a care plan, and again, it's truly a team approach.
Okay. And then as I introduced, Ronnie is a family member. Ronnie, give us a little bit to introduce that situation. What was your situation that caused you to seek Vanessa's organization's help? What was going on?
When I first was referred to Vanessa, my father, who had dementia with Lewy bodies, he was getting progressively worse, and we were looking at a situation where we had to think about placing him in memory care or some kind of skilled nursing. And I thought that I could do the whole thing myself. I didn't think that I needed anybody. I thought that I was perfectly capable and that I could do the research, and I could do that. And I had to get him Medicaid qualified, and it was very complicated. And I realized very quickly that I could not do it by myself. And the attorney that I went to for the Medicaid assessment recommended Vanessa very highly, and I called her. And so the first thing she did was help me figure out where would be an appropriate place to place my father.
When you got that referral, what was your understanding of the breadth of services or support or background that you might get from elder care?
He said Vanessa does everything.
Oh, of course, that we know. Okay.
Vanessa does everything, but specifically that she was familiar with the entire DMV, the District Maryland, Virginia. That because my parents lived in Maryland and I live in Virginia, so she knew all the facilities and all the communities. She knew about how to get people placed, and she could do an assessment and listen to the requirements that we had. What would we be able to afford? Where was too far to go? From more complicated to more simple things, and then suggest a place. Narrowed the universe for me to a few places that we could look at.
So you were given a diagnosis of her professional look at what the situation was.
Yes.
Were you given too many choices, or was it narrowed down and made specific pretty quickly?
No.
And how did you go about doing that? I assume you did that.
we together narrowed it down because there was also a spouse in the community,
Right.
still in the community. So I needed to, along with Ronnie, factor that in. We did not want to place, her father far away from her mother.
Okay.
So it was not too much. I think it was just the right amount.
No, it was perfect.
Was that the only issue that you had to deal with in terms of his placement, or were there family-related issues, caregiving, support, 24-hour access? I mean,
was your
how
mother
did you
too?
begin to deal with those issues?
There was that. There was also, I mean, the biggest thing was that he had a hospital stay, and then we didn't want to bring him home and then place him, so we had to get him from the hospital into the placement. And it was, we were getting a lot of issues from the skilled nursing, and Vanessa just came in and said, no, send me those forms. No, they don't need to do that. No, you can, this is how
Right.
you have to do it. She got on the phone with them. She made it. I don't know, I think it took a day, and he was he was placed.
If you had to do that on your own, not having ever done it before, what are...
I wouldn't have had a clue. I wouldn't have had
Yeah.
a clue.
There was a lot involved, from the skilled perspective and utilizing your father, his health insurance, to converting to Medicaid pending, to Medicaid approval, and also, again, focusing on your mother, who was still in the community, and this is a couple that's resided and been together for many, many, many years. So that was another aspect that we needed to focus on, assess, and tend to, was the welfare of her mother, too.
How much time did it take from the initial meeting until you came up with the first solution in terms of his placement? Is that a long period of time, or a lot of meetings, or
No.
pretty quick?
We met once. As I remember, we met once. You made suggestions. We kind of made a decision, and then we decided on a time frame. Then my father got sick, and he accelerated the time frame.
Okay.
But luckily, we kind of knew and had a plan because of having met with Vanessa.
Were there other elements to the plan beyond placement? What you did as a family, what legal help you needed, what financial help you needed, her ongoing presence and services. How did that work out?
Well, then at that point, my mother was going to be alone.
Right, okay.
And before she had been with my father, and so now she was going to be alone. So now I asked Vanessa to assess my mother and to be available if I had to travel or anywhere that she
Right.
now could come in and help with my mother. My mother has a number of medical issues, and things happen to her all
So
the
it
time.
wasn't, here's the plan, he goes into care and the relationship ends.
Oh, no, we've had an ongoing relationship, which continues to be
Save
ongoing.
that. We need to go to a break, but we'll continue this story
All right.
when we come back, and we'll learn more about how things turned out. Okay?
Great.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Well, here we are once again, and we have our cooking episode in the middle of all this senior information. So this is a real break for us. Once again, Madison Reeder, our designated expert nutritionist, but also our quality and esteemed cook, is joining me.
Are making holiday breakfast cookies.
Holiday breakfast cookies.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of ingredients here, and looks good. Let's get started.
Excellent.
Okay.
So this is probably one of the only times that your dietitian will tell you that you can have cookies for breakfast, but these cookies are jam-packed with lots of nutrients, fiber, a little bit of protein, so they're a great option. And especially with the holidays coming up, these are great to give as gifts because they're very, very easy to make,
okay.
especially for our seniors. It's just a lot of assembly. And then also, they're great for Christmas morning. You have your family together, everybody's busy opening presents. You can grab one of these and then everybody's not starving by the time lunch rolls around.
Do you open presents first if you have little kids and wait if you're an adult and then eat these holiday cookies?
See, I got to eat the cookies first.
There you go.
I always have to eat first,
Then
right?
these are really special.
Yes.
Let's see how to make them.
Absolutely. So the first thing we're going to do, it's another one bowl recipe. So we're going to start with our dry ingredients. We're just going to add everything one by one. So the first thing we're going to do is add these oats. They're just regular steel cut oats.
Okay.
We'll add them into the bowl. Oats we've talked about in the past. They've got lots of different nutrient qualities. So they've got lots of fiber, which will help keep you full, regulates that GI tract, which is a great reason to add them into a
Plus they
breakfast
taste
cookie.
good.
Absolutely, they're
There you go.
delicious.
All right.
Then we're going to add some whole wheat flour, which again we've talked about in the past. Again, lots of fiber, some protein, lots of your B vitamins, which help keep you healthy during these winter
Okay.
months that are coming up here. So we'll add that in.
Sprinkle all that in.
Yep, just
Okay.
sprinkle all that in. And then next, this is the exciting part. We got lots of spices going on in this bowl here. So in this bowl here, we've got some cinnamon,
Yeah.
we've got some clove, we've got some ginger, we've got some baking powder.
Baking powder.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, baking powder. And what this is going to do is just going to add lots of flavors to kind of cover up that flavor from the whole wheat flour, because sometimes that's a little bit grainier than a regular flour.
Okay.
But these spices will definitely do the trick.
Okay.
If you want to add those
Oh,
in.
yes, please.
Absolutely, that'd be great. And cinnamon, as we talked about before, has lots of great benefits. Almost works as an antioxidant, kind of helps keep you healthy, and it's great for your blood sugar. So that's a good one to add in there, especially
Okay.
first thing in the morning for our diabetics, our diabetic seniors. Next, this is important. We've got some unsweetened applesauce here. This is kind of commonly used in baking now because it helps cut out a little bit of sugar and still adds that moisture in.
Sure.
So instead of an oil or a butter, usually there's a lot of oil in something like a cookie. We're going to add this applesauce to
Okay.
bring that moisture and the sweetness back in. You want to add that in there?
All right. Let's,
Excellent. Yep.
let me borrow your spatula here. Get
Absolutely.
it all out. Okay.
That's just a quarter cup of that too. So really you can buy at the grocery store, they have those applesauce packs that you can have for a snack.
Oh, okay.
One of those is about a quarter cup. So you can add that right in there. So you don't have to buy this whole jar of applesauce if you don't want to, which is perfect for our seniors. You can just pick it up,
Okay.
throw it in there. Next, we're going to use some coconut oil. There's a little bit of vanilla in here too for a nice aroma and a little bit help with the cooking.
I noticed when you were preparing, you had this jar, and it's in a it's not liquid. So
Right.
how did you get it into that form?
So you just put it in the microwave. Coconut
right.
oil is really amazing, and there's a lot
Coconut
of
oil.
controversy about whether it's really beneficial or not. But in small amounts, it can be really great for you. It's a saturated fat, but this is just a little bit. It's just 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
And you just pop it in the microwave. We only put it in for about 15 seconds, and it turns into this clear liquid. I don't know if y'all can see, but it's really nice, and it has a nice flavor, and that's really the main reason we're adding it to this.
Okay.
To just give it a flavor there.
All right.
So we'll add that in, that coconut oil and that vanilla. And then last but not least, we are going to be adding some honey. This is our real sweetener in here.
Okay.
So we've got 3/4 cup of honey. You can use agave nectar, you can use maple syrup, really whatever you please. Agave nectar is a little bit lower in calorie, but honey is a little bit sweeter. So we're going to add that honey in there. We'll kind of scrape that out.
Boy, it smells good.
Yes,
All those spices and
all those flavors.
that's wonderful.
And then we're going to give it a nice little mix here. So I'll get it started, and then while we get the next thing ready, I'm going to let you take over.
Okay.
There we go. And that's all there is to it, just mixing it all together.
All right.
I'll let you take over.
Let me blend those. Scrape down the sides a little bit
Yep,
here.
absolutely. We don't want to miss even a little piece
No.
of that
Every-
Christmas goodness there.
Every grain of steel cut oats
Yes,
gets
absolutely.
included. Nobody excluded.
The next thing we're going to add is just some of the juice from one orange. We've got like a cranberry orange flavor pattern going on here, so that'll be really nice. So I'm just going to squeeze
Okay.
a little bit of that orange juice in there. There we go.
Mix that in.
Yep, excellent. You can add some orange zest in there as well if you
Oh, boy.
can do that. But for some of our seniors, something like grating can be a little bit dangerous and a little bit difficult. So don't feel like you have to do that. That's kind of an extra step. And we're even skipping it here today because a lot of times at the holidays you're busy, and we don't want to waste
Okay.
a second with our families. Next thing we're
Clean that
adding
off.
is some flaked
Flaked
shredded
coconut, okay.
This is unsweetened because this is going to be sweet enough with all that honey
All right.
and applesauce. So you can just kind of put as much in as you like. So this will be about 1/4 cup of
Okay.
coconut.
Mix that in.
Yep. And then next we're going to add in some cranberries,
Wow.
some mixed nuts. We'll have almonds, pecans, and walnuts, and some pepitas. Pepitas are just pumpkin seeds, but we've got the cranberries, which are red, the pepitas,
Goodness.
which are green, and now we have a Christmas cookie.
Well, I don't know what else we could put in here.
I know, they're pretty packed. I don't think there's much room for anything else. So Add about a half a cup of these lovely cranberries here. Excellent.
I'm getting healthy just mixing this, you can see.
Yeah, and I can
What
really...
else do you have?
Next, we have these mixed nuts here.
Mixed nuts.
Yes.
All right.
Those almonds, walnuts, some pecans, and then those pepitas, which those are great. They're a healthy fat. They're an
As we've said many times on
We've
this
said
show,
this so many
healthy
times.
fat those are magic words.
Yes, but they are, as I was trying to say, they are an omega-3 fat.
Oh, well, yes.
Yes, and those are great for our seniors because they kind of help to stimulate some brain health, keeping our minds nice and healthy. So that can be a really great one. But yeah, healthy fat seems like an oxymoron there, but
It's a nice oxymoron.
yes, but fats are good for our body. They help to keep our bones, our muscles, our cells protected, and that's why we want to include them. And
It's
just
good
making
for
sure-
hair health, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
it can be.
I shouldn't talk about that, but all right.
We need some more healthy fats, right?
That's
We all
right.
need some more healthy fats.
That's right. That's right.
And that
Okay.
looks excellent. So now you can really see that this has kind of formed
There it is.
its own dough there. It's pretty solid. But we want to make sure that we refrigerate this before we put them on a baking sheet for a half hour to 45 minutes. I waited a little bit longer because the firmer it is, the easier they are to place on the baking tray. Then while this was in the refrigerator, I
Yeah.
preheated my oven to 325. And then afterwards, I just took a teaspoon and measured them out.
Okay.
It makes about 24 little cookies there.
Separate them out on the cookie sheet.
Yep,
and-
yep, just a couple
and
inches
how-
apart.
You said how long do they bake?
They bake for 12 to 15 minutes.
Not
That's
very
really,
long. And
nope,
they
that's
kind of spread out and
just a little bit. They really do keep their shape, as you can see.
Yeah.
You can see here with this finished product, they really keep their shape, but they really are delicious and they're great.
what else would you eat with those for breakfast? Is that it?
So those are more of, you could eat a handful of them and they could be a complete
That's a
breakfast
good
for
idea.
you. But I would recommend you kind of add something else with it. You can add another piece of fruit. You can add some yogurt. They'd be great if you kind of crumbled them up and put them in some yogurt.
Cup of tea and a cup of coffee maybe?
Yep, absolutely
All right.
perfect for
Well, that's
Christmas
wonderful.
morning. So would you like to give them a try?
Oh, yes, I would.
Yeah,
Here, what do you
absolutely.
have one?
Great. Thank you very much.
They're light and tasty.
Yes, yes, they are.
We're back, and once again, I'm with Vanessa Bishop, the founder and CEO of Elder Care Consultants, that provides a range of services to seniors, and we'll go into those in a second. And we've got another guest of Ronnie Arden, who's a family member whose father was helped, but also her family and personal situation through the services that Vanessa provided. So we want to talk a little bit more about so your father has been placed in care, that's been satisfactory. There was analysis that went into it, given options. She made the choice, very pleased with the choice. What other things did you have to consider in terms of highlight other services or other considerations you had to look at?
It was after the placement of her father, it was assisting in assessing and monitoring and advocating while her father was in the long-term care skilled nursing facility as a clinician, assessing and interfacing again with the team members there to ensure the proper plan of care was in place. and making sure that the family was actively involved and any concerns, comments, or requests were addressed. Again, it was a continuum of advocacy.
I'm getting the impression that your services and help were not just focused on the father, but on the family.
Absolutely.
Were there services to support her mother, for example, or other siblings, or how did that work?
And to support.
And to support Ronnie. I mean, I as Ronnie said earlier, you know, I was initially brought in and working with her father, and then her mother, whom I still work with, and also her mother-in-law.
How long is this relationship? What's the start? It's ongoing, as I understand it. Lifelong friends, but also a professional relationship.
About 4 years.
4 years, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And continued service, or has it evolved into friendship and you just keep in touch?
Continue both, but
both. I mean, it's
but my mother and my mother-in-law are both in the same community, one in assisted living and one in memory
really?
care.
Okay.
And this is ongoing, and Vanessa helped me with
With
that
both.
as well.
Okay.
So
What-
when it came time to do that, she was the first one that I
What are
called.
some of the kinds of issues that have come up then over the 4-year period after the initial success with your father?
So we are still a little bit dealing with this, but in the community where my mother is, my mother has a very complicated medical status, and she takes a lot of medications, and things were not being handled appropriately, I thought, or not so much not appropriately, but not accurately. And it helps to have, you know, even though I'm a pretty good advocate myself, it helps to have a professional who is in the room who can say, these are things that you can do. You know that you can do this. She knows what the regulations are. She knows how things can work in there. So she can say, don't you think that we can do this way or that way, where they may or may not listen to the family, but they will listen to the professional.
I think that's
likely.
invaluable, because
Right.
it's hard to navigate the medical system, as you both know, and
Right.
have done that. Are there things that you will continue to do as not just personal relationship, but in terms of professional guidance and support from elder care?
Yes, I mean, we're 24/7, we're not 9 to 5. So whether it's a text, it's a phone call, it's an email, if something completely out of the norm were to arise, Ronnie will reach out to me and we will address that situation or that question together. You know, it's unpredictable, to a degree. And so as an aging life care professional, care case manager is a common title that we're given. That's what we're there for, is to be able to troubleshoot and assess and to be able to tend to any matters that arise.
If you look back on the 4-year relationship, is there anything that you could have done better, or that you wish you had had greater resources or knowledge, or anything from your perspective that you thought we might have done differently? What lessons did you learn from this?
Well, I learned, the biggest lesson I learned is don't try to do this yourself.
Yeah, I hear that.
That's the biggest lesson I learned. The second lesson I learned, which is, I guess, subpart B, is relinquish some of the control.
Right.
To
Don't.
a professional? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let a little bit of the control go. That was hard for me.
I
But,
suspect it was.
but to have somebody that I trusted, and you know, Vanessa is she's like my sanity check, not only for my own sanity, but she helps us, my husband and I, to recognize, should we really be concerned about this?
Right.
Is it a big
Is this a
problem? Is it little
legitimate?
problem?
Is this a legitimate issue? How should we, if it is, how do we go about correcting it?
Do you
or
have
making a
siblings
difference?
that shared this burden, or were you the point person?
I'm the point person. My brother, I have a brother in Cleveland, and he comes several times a year, and he helps. But
That's hard to
it's
do
hard to
from a
do from
distance.
Cleveland.
Okay. What did you learn from this experience? It sounds like a success.
It has been, and
Okay.
we continue to learn together and to listen and to think outside the box. It's not cookie cutter, and it's customized. Every individual that you work with as a care manager it's customized.
How do you coordinate? So you, as a care manager, you have to coordinate services, but also coordinate payment, schedule, et cetera. Is that a large
To name
part
a
of what
few.
you? To name a few.
To name a few. Yes, I mean, it's again assessing, but it could be that our recommendation is alternative placement. When is the house no longer safe? How can we ensure our loved one's safety, general welfare, and quality of life in the home setting, and resources to bring into the home? Again, Medicare, Medicaid-related issues. Times in which we've been pulled in on guardianship hearings and testifying on behalf of that individual. So it's just an array of services that we provide.
Do you rely largely or exclusively on referrals from professionals that have worked with you before, or do you have any means of outreach in terms of informing the public of your services? How do you go about letting people know how you can help them?
So a bulk of our referrals will come from professionals. It will come from elder law attorneys. It can come from home health care agencies. It can come from senior residential settings. Current clients, former clients, family members, websites, speaking engagements. Really, there's an array in which of referrals.
We're running out of time, unfortunately, but I do want to. I think what you said is what sticks with me is that don't do it alone, and hopefully they can become aware of you and others that are providing a service because it's invaluable. And we've had people on this program that talk about the burden of care, and it's just enormous. You can't begin to anticipate how consuming that can be. So good for you. I'm glad you got some help, and glad you provided. So thank you very much, and no, really appreciate hearing your story and how you work together.
Wonderful.
That's very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.